A man went missing from his own house. The doors were locked. The windows were sealed. His phone was still inside. And yet, he vanished. No blood. No struggle. No clues. So how do you disappear from a locked house, without leaving anything behind? Missing from a locked house, no clues left. Prologue, the silence that shouldn't exist. The house at 17 Maple Row had stood untouched for nearly 40 years. White walls, brown wooden windows, a small garden in front, nothing about it suggested mystery. And yet, on the morning of October 14th, that ordinary house became the center of one of the most unsettling disappearances the town of Riverton had ever known. Because someone vanished from inside it. No broken doors. No open windows. No signs of struggle. No clues. The house was locked from the inside. And the man who lived there, Daniel Mercer, age 36, was never seen again. Daniel Mercer was not the kind of man who disappeared. He worked as a document archivist at the Riverton Municipal Library, a quiet job that matched his personality perfectly. He arrived at work at exactly 9:05 a.m., left at 5:40 p.m., bought coffee from the same cafe, and walked home along the same route every evening. No pets. No close friends. No enemies anyone knew of. Neighbors described him as polite but distant. He always nodded, said Mrs. Caldwell from next door. Never stopped to talk. Just existed. Daniel had no criminal record. No debts. No history of mental illness. No romantic relationships. He was invisible in the way only truly ordinary people are. Which is why, when he failed to show up for work on October 13th, no one panicked. At first. By the afternoon of October 14th, Daniel still hadn't answered his phone. No messages. No emails. No activity. Concerned, Daniel's supervisor contacted the police for a welfare check. Officer Liam Carter arrived at 17 Maple Row at 3:18 p.m. The front door was locked. The windows were shut. The curtains were drawn halfway, just as Daniel always kept them. Officer Carter knocked. No response. He rang the doorbell. Silence. Using a master key provided by the housing association, the officers entered the house. And immediately, something felt wrong. The air inside was stale, unmoving, like the house had been holding its breath. Nothing inside was disturbed. Daniel's jacket hung neatly on a hook near the door. His shoes were aligned perfectly beneath it. The lights were off. The thermostat was set to 22 degrees Celsius, exactly where Daniel always kept it. In the kitchen, a clean mug sat upside down on the drying rack. No dirty dishes. No spilled food. No trash overflowing. In the living room, Daniel's laptop rested on the coffee table, closed, fully charged. His phone was there too. On silent. No missed calls visible. The bedroom was worse. The bed was made tight. Perfect. As if no one had slept in it. But Daniel had last been seen entering the house the previous night at 7:12 p.m., confirmed by a neighbor's security camera. He had gone inside. And he had never come out. The police conducted a full search. Doors, locked from the inside. Windows, closed and sealed. Bathroom, dry. No signs of water use. Attic, empty. Basement, dust undisturbed. There was no second exit. No crawlspace. No hidden door. No sign anyone else had been inside. No blood. No fingerprints out of place. No broken objects. Daniel had not packed clothes. Not withdrawn money. Not booked travel. It was as if he had simply ceased to exist. Inside his own locked house. The forensic team found only one anomaly. A chair in the living room was slightly pulled back from the table. Not knocked over. Not damaged. Just moved. As if Daniel had been sitting there. And then stood up. And never sat down again. The dust pattern beneath the chair suggested it hadn't moved far, just enough to suggest interruption. But interruption by what? There were no signs of panic. No scratches on the walls. No defensive wounds. No broken nails. Nothing. Daniel's phone records revealed something unsettling. At 7:48 p.m., Daniel had received a phone call. Duration, 14 seconds. The number was unregistered. No location data. The call had not been answered. It had simply ended. After that, nothing. No calls. No messages. No activity. His phone had remained untouched on the coffee table all night. The neighbor who heard something. 3 days later, a neighbor came forward. Mrs. Elaine Porter, who lived across the street, told police she had heard something unusual that night. At around 8, she said, I heard a sound. Like furniture moving. Just once. Then silence. She hadn't thought much of it at the time. Riverton was quiet, but old houses made noises. Still, it was the only sound reported. One movement. Then nothing. Investigators dug into Daniel's past. His childhood was unremarkable. His parents were deceased. No siblings. No inheritance disputes. He had no social media presence beyond a dormant account created years earlier. No online arguments. No threats. No secrets. But then they accessed his library archives. Daniel worked with old municipal records, birth certificates, land ownership documents, historical permits. Files few people ever touched. And among his recent work logs was something odd. A folder marked Riverton Structural Amendments, 1982. The folder had been accessed repeatedly in the weeks before Daniel vanished. The house at 17 Maple Row had been built in 1979. Originally owned by a construction company. Then sold. Then sold again. Records showed something strange. In 1982, the house underwent unregistered renovations. No permits. No official blueprints. Just a single handwritten note in the city archive. Internal modification completed. No further inspection required. No explanation. No details. The page after it was missing. With new suspicion, police obtained a warrant to conduct a deeper inspection. Walls were scanned. Floors were tested. Thermal imaging. Ground-penetrating radar. Nothing. No hidden rooms. No voids. No tunnels. Until a technician noticed something. Behind the living room wall, where the chair had been pulled back, there was an anomaly. A hollow space. Small. Too small for a room. But large enough for something else. They removed the wall panel. Inside was nothing. Just darkness. And silence. But the interior surface showed scrape marks. Vertical. As if something had been pulled through. The hollow space measured less than 12 inches deep. There was no way a human body could fit. No way Daniel could have been taken through it. And yet, the marks were real. Fresh. Unexplained. The wall behind it was solid concrete. No exit. No continuation. Just a dead end. Or so it appeared. One investigator, Detective Hannah Reed, requested older records from state archives. After weeks of searching, she found something buried in microfilm. An original blueprint of the house. But it didn't match the current layout. According to the blueprint, the living room wall should not exist. There was supposed to be a passage. One that ended abruptly. Not connected to anything else. A space deliberately designed to go nowhere. Daniel's laptop was finally decrypted. Most files were work-related. But one document stood out. A personal note. Undated. Unsent. It read. I think the house isn't empty when it's quiet. I hear it when I sit in the living room. Not a sound, more like pressure. Like something waiting for permission. No one knew what he meant. But Detective Reed felt a chill reading it. Against protocol, Detective Reed stayed alone in the house one night. She sat in the same chair. At the same time Daniel would have been home. The house was silent. Then. She felt it. A subtle vibration. Not sound. Not movement. A sensation. As if the air itself was tightening. She stood up. And the feeling vanished. The chair behind her creaked. Just once. After 6 months, the case was closed. Official conclusion. Adult male missing. Presumed voluntary disappearance. But no one believed it. The house was eventually sold. Renovated. The hollow space was filled with concrete. No further incidents reported. But sometimes. Late at night. New residents claimed the living room chair moved slightly on its own. Only a few inches. As if someone had stood up. And never sat back down. Daniel Mercer was never found. No body. No remains. No explanation. Just an empty house. Locked from the inside. And a silence that felt occupied.